In this captivating novel, Jacob and Hunter's journey is filled with the unknown and dangers. They must deal with threats from demons while exploring their connections to gods and other worlds. The conflict lies in their desire to uncover the truth while fearing the consequences it may bring. This internal struggle combined with external pressures makes the story even more engaging. As the story unfolds, they gradually discover their own strength and courage and find the deep emotional bond between them. This story is not only about their adventures but also about how they grow and discover themselves amidst difficulties. Chapter 80. Hunter observed his mate with rapt attention, noting how Jacob's brown eyes, filled with curiosity and a hint of trepidation, meticulously examine every minute detail of the book, from the weathered leather binding to the yellowed, time-stained pages. Nothing escaped Jacob's scrutiny. "What are you looking for?" Hunter's deep, resonant voice broke the silence, causing Jacob to startle from his mesmerized state. Jacob glanced up, a shy expression crossing his features as he grappled with how to explain his seemingly outlandish quest. When Alisha appeared to me, it was someone else, someone not from this world. I don't think, but I know the answers are in here. Hunter's reassuring smile lit up his face. "I don't think you're 𝐿𝐻𝐬𝐬, he said, leaning closer until Jacob could feel the warmth of his breath on his cheek. "I want to know who it is too." Refocusing on the ancient text, Jacob carefully turned the pages using only his index finger and thumb, his movements cautious and reverent. A mixture of anticipation and nervousness coursed through him, knowing that whatever he discovered would undoubtedly open new avenues of exploration. "Wait, go back," Hunter said suddenly, his fingers gently overlapping Jacob's as he turned back a page. Look. This chapter is about the god of lightning." Jacob whispered, his eyes widening with a mixture of awe and disbelief as he channeled 𝐿𝐻𝐽𝐻𝐿 essence. Hunter's gaze traced the italic script, his brow furrowing in surprise. Leaning forward to ensure he hadn't misread, he asked, "Why does it say here that you're the ruler of the gods?" His finger underlined the word ruler as Jacob read the same sentence, letting out a soft gasp. "A pure leader, one who possesses great sympathy, understanding and leadership as the true Lord. 𝐿𝐻𝐽𝐻𝐿, the keeper of lightning and the god of wolf, fought and claimed the victory, earning his rightful spot as the godly sovereign," Hunter recited, his voice tinged with wonder. However, Jacob, still focused on his original purpose, tried to brush off the revelation. "That was years ago. It has probably changed." "Nope," Hunter interjected, continuing to read. "It says that when the time is right, 𝐿𝐻𝐽𝐻𝐿 will lead the gods and will never lose his status." He looked up, his eyes wide with amazement. "Do you know how important this is? You're the leader of the gods, not just the werewolves." Jacob shook his head, his gaze dropping to his lap as the weight of this newfound knowledge settled upon him. "That's insane." "Not really. You know the human myths about their gods. What was his name? Zeus or something? Well, they got their idea of the gods from the werewolves and rumor spreads and facts change. But that god is the keeper of lightning and also the ruler in Zeus." Hunter shook his head. "You're 𝐿𝐻𝐽𝐻𝐿. Zeus is just another name for you." "A human name?" Their eyes turned back to the book, suddenly craving the information and wanting to read every little fact. Jacob had the information in his head, but was having trouble locating it. Hunter shuffled closer, adjusting himself on the cold wooden floor of his bedroom. "Let's not get overwhelmed." He pressed his chest against the back of his mate's shoulder, leaning into him as they turned the pages. "We just need to find something about, I don't know, spirits." They searched for a few minutes, making sure their eyes didn't miss anything until a page sparked Jacob's attention. "The Cosmo Order." Jacob read the title and looked down to a diagram. It were 4 circles, creating a square shape, which was labeled as worlds. In the middle were 2 small circles, labeled heaven and hell. Underneath each world had titles which read vampires, angels and demons, werewolves, and humans. "What is this?" Hunter frowned. Their eyes quickly read the paragraph underneath with raised pulses. The Cosmo Order is a magic cycle filled with for different worlds, holding for different beings. As humans are spread across each world, vampires, angels and demons, and werewolves are single to one each. The order has existed for as long as records began. No correct explanation can be given, only opinions. However, in later years, the demons thrust for power and have found a way of transporting to other worlds, leaving a few integrated beings, such as vampires and angels. The gods have the power to transport to these worlds. However, their only passage through is the bridge between either heaven or hell. The god can be full of life if they wish to enter. Their souls do not need to be separated from the spirit. Jacob looked up to Hunter. His hairs were standing on end. What did I just read? Hunter was now frowning with confusion. Is this trying to say that other worlds exist through this Cosmo thing? Jacob was beyond overwhelmed. He quickly shut the book and pursed his lips together. I don't know how I feel about that. What? About there being other worlds? I mean, we can't just be the only other signs of life out there. Hunter pushed the book away. So, do you think that Alicia's body was used by another god? Jacob shook his head. No, it didn't feel like it. So, a demon. It did say that they had started breaking into other worlds. Jacob shook his head again. I don't know, do I? He frowned. All right. You're quite snappy when you're confused. I like it. Jacob's amused eyes trailed his face until they spotted two people approaching the door. Hello, dearie. Flora beamed and struggled to sit on the floor with her husband. Alfred ran a hand through his gray hair and puffed from walking up the stairs. He wanted to sit on the bed, but he cowled and entered his territory. What a lovely room. Alfred looked around. It's a bear, though. The boys stared at them, not acknowledging their conversation. Hunter knew they had read the Enchiridion, which means they know about the other worlds. Is it true that other supernatural things exist? He questioned and scooted over. Things. Flora chuckled. And yes, I believe it's true. However, I have not seen evidence of it yet. But you must understand that many wolves have the Book of Gods. The fact that other worlds exist is no secret. Well, why are they not visible from space? Because it's magical, silly. Hunter shook his head and chuckled. It makes no sense. Nana, isn't that the beauty of it? No, it's annoying. It's annoying. Hunter scoffed. I want to know. Well, you can search a lifetime and you'll never find the answer. But you said everything has a way of answering itself. Jacob slowly trailed off, not wanting to stir the atmosphere. And there it is. Alfred grinned. You'll do well if you think like that, my boy. Stop testing him, dear. He'll learn on his own. Flora linked arms with her beloved mate. Of course there's an answer. I've always thought the angels would know. Living in the atmosphere between the two worlds. They probably witness a lot. Hunter breathed out a hefty sigh and slowly laid on his back, feeling the slight discomfort from his ribs. This is mad. I don't think I want to ever meet a vampire. Don't you be judging now. Flora tapped him with her foot. Hunter rolled over with horrified expression. Did you just kick me? His voice was exaggerated and very sarcastic. Oh, stop that, Hunter. Stupid boy. Her grandson watched with amusement. So, is it possible for angels and demons to visit the world through heaven and hell? Is it like a portal? He asked. I'm not sure. I would also like to know. Jacob was fidgeting and chewing his bottom lip. He was trying to piece things together in his mind. Today he has learnt that he might be the leader of the gods and that other worlds exist with other supernatural beings. However, that news should not be this surprising. He is a god of werewolves. Nothing should shock him anymore. I want to meet the other gods. If you read on in the book, you will only meet them when there is a purpose for you all to be together. Like a war or something big enough to threaten the wolf race. Can't Jacob just teleport to another country to find one? Hunter asked. No, you can only see each other when it matters. You could be in the same room as another god and acknowledge them. Seriously. And this is all in the book. Hunter turned. I think I need to read it. You do. Alfred nodded. You are the guardian of a god. You should know this stuff. Hunter, don't you think this is all a bit surreal? I mean, a few weeks ago I was so different. The werewolf turned to see his mind shifting into a swamp of information. As soon as he opened his mouth to speak, his eyes were drawn to something behind him. They widened, causing Jacob to turn quickly. Alfred frowned, but Flora squeezed his arm, keeping him quiet. They couldn't see what the boys were seeing. Who? Jacob stuttered, unable to speak. Standing in the doorway to the bathroom was Alisha. Well, her body. Whoever was inside it continued to be a mystery. Who are you? Hunter asked with confidence and sat on his knees. Why are you back? Alisha crouched to their level, not wanting to feel superior in the god's presence. I am back because I believe it is unfair to leave 𝐏𝐿𝐼 with questions about my identity. Hunter shuffled over to his mate and subconsciously held his arm. He only wanted to feel that he was there. Jacob leaned into him but didn't dare to move his eyes off the stranger. Who are you then? Hunter was good at being forceful. First, I have to ask how much you know about. Right. Hunter interrupted, feeling a little odd at talking face to face with Alicia's body. We now know there are other worlds and stuff, so if you're another being, it's fine to tell us because we know about you. Also, why are you not coming in your true form if you're showing us your identity? Flora was feeling proud of her grandson for asking important questions. However, the conversation was very one-sided. She had no idea what was going on. That is a very good question. Hunter Raisin. Alicia's eyes were still emotional's, even if her cold soul was no longer inside. I shall show you my true form if you are sure you can handle it. Jacob's back was fully supported by Hunter. He was feeling a tiny bit overwhelmed. We can handle it. Right, Jay? Hunter moved his hand up to his shoulder, squeezing it with encouragement. Why, yeah. Jacob was exceptionally eager to find out who helped save his mate's life. Very well. I will show you. Then I will explain who I am, how I got here, and why I was able to help you. Alisha stood up and closed her eyes. The atmosphere around her vessel instantly turned light and calm. Jacob and Hunter's eyes were wide and glued to a sudden creamy glow which erupted from Alicia's chest. The light got brighter, causing them to shield their eyes from something which Flora and Alfred could now see. Jacob felt Hunter wrap an arm around him when their eyes were closed, just for extra comfort. The glow radiated a minor heat, and once it started to fade, they knew the light was fading too. With heavy beating hearts and impatient minds, everyone slowly opened their eyes. Now standing before them was a man, which surprised them. However, there was something behind him which caused Hunter's jaw to drop open. His eyes were wide and twinkling in awe. Jacob gasped, as did Flora and Alfred. The handsome stranger stood, feeling a little shy with their judging eyes. Although their gaze fell upon a part of him that he was incredibly proud of and would happily show off to anyone. Attached to his back sat magnificently flawless and elegantly shaped, beautiful white wings. Chapter 81 are those. Hunter breathed. For some reason, he was phased that this person was standing in his room. His mind was preoccupied and glued to the feathery things behind his back. The stranger's hazel eyes examined and the boys with caution. His hands were behind his back like he was holding something. Yori. Jacob furrowed his eyebrows. 𝐿𝐼. He couldn't finish. He was so charmed by his hypnotic presence. An angel, yes. The stranger then looked behind him after deciding that the werewolf would not get protective over his territory. They could hear him whispering, but they were too surprised to question it. When the angel turned, Jacob got a glimpse of someone standing behind him. Someone rather short. Hunter Raisin. Is it safe for a human to be in this room? A hunter frowned. What human? He ran a hand through his black hair, still staring at his wings. My soulmate. Yeah. The angel then stepped to the side, revealing another man who also appeared to be in his late 30s. His soulful blue eyes lit up when he smiled. "Who are you both?" Flora questioned. And Alfred found it hard to contain their excitement. The angel put a comforting arm around the shorter man and beamed proudly. "My name is Panuleon. This is my soulmate. Corey, how are you? Wait, why are you here? What world did you come from? Are you from heaven?" Hunter was starting to feel like Sam. He was thankful his beta wolf wasn't here. He would have talked the poor angel's ears off by now. Panuleon sat on the floor, leaving a few meters between himself and the werewolf, still feeling a little wary about his territory. Corey sat down and leaned against his angel, trying to stay calm. However, being in the presence of werewolves was daunting. "I have come from the world which includes vampires and humans. Corey and I have lived there for a very long time. We had to escape our old world because demons made it very impossible to live a happy life. However, myself and my mate were connected with another couple in the vampire world. I won't explain that just yet. I'll tell you how and why we are here. Do you understand me so far?" Panuleon stared deep into their eyes. 𝐏𝐞𝐬 was exceptionally powerful in his presence, and he was finding it hard to keep back his enthusiasm from finally meeting a god. "Yes, I think," Hunter breathed. "So recently an elder angel has been appearing to Corey in a dream. She explained about the other worlds, which I didn't know about until only a few weeks ago. I am a low-ranked angel, and only elder angels know about the four worlds. I only thought two existed." He paused, making sure that they understood him. The elder angel told Corey about the werewolf gods and how a few angels are being assigned to be their guardian angels. "I am yours, 𝐏𝐞𝐬." Jacob's mind felt like it had been thrown into another galaxy. Mine. Wait, deception. But his guardian. Hunter tried so hard not to get jealous, yet his body stank of it. "Yes, of course. I am not as important as you. I am simply here to watch and make sure that 𝐏𝐞𝐬 is safe if you are ever in trouble. For example, when you were being betrayed only a few days ago, so." "Do all the gods have guardian angels?" Panuleon nodded. He then leaned forwards. A dark, yet courageous expression washed over his eyes. He looked serious, and Flora understood he was here for a very important reason. "The elder angels speak of a time in the future where the gods will save us all. We don't know when or how, but I suspect demons. They are always up to something devious and have a thirst for power." Wait. Hunter scrambled to his feet, making Corey lean further against his angel. Turning to his nana, he narrowed his eyes. "Did you drug my tea? I'm having crazy hallucinations right now." "It's real," Jacob whispered. "It's real. Everything is real." "Hunter, I did no such thing." Flora chuckled and shook her head, making her long plaited hair fall off her shoulder. Using her husband's arm, she climbed to her feet. "Panuleon and Corey, would you like some tea? I don't drug it. Maybe not with dangerous herbs." She muttered the last part. The Hunter crossed his arms. "Do you mean marijuana?" "No," Flora gave him a wink as Alfred stood up too. "Don't listen to her. I stopped her doing that years ago." Hunter got PED at his grandparents. Why would 𝐾𝐞𝐬 even care? Turning back to the angel, he was still starstruck. There are more important things to think about right now. Corey looked rather amused, but Panuleon was confused. "We cannot stay for too long. I can't hold the mind portal open for too long." The angel's voice was so soothing. "Mind portal. Now I know I am definitely getting puricked. Right? About this thing that is supposed to happen in the future. Do you have a rough time scale?" Jacob asked. "Well, we think maybe in around 7,000 years or so. When you are both approaching your mid-20s. Jacob and Hunter's jaws dropped. 7,000. "Why the hell are you here now if it's not gonna happen for that long?" Hunter questioned. "Don't say that to an angel," Jacob hissed in his head. "The elder angel thinks it's important to build the trust. Now, I'll barely show myself as I have my own life to live in the other world. But if you need my help, 𝐏𝐞𝐬, or if you would like to talk about things you are confused with, do not hesitate to call for me in your head. I will always hear it. Panuleon's wings were still showing. He was too proud and excited to put them away. Hunter's jealousy spiked again. Will I hear you? Or just him? Yes, if you ask for me and need help. I will visit. Jacob and Hunter made eye contact. For a split second, they almost laughed from the utter nonsense of the situation. However, the reality forced them to be serious. This was not as complicated as I was expecting. Alisha was really your guardian angel, hiding his true form so he could help you save Hunter. Now we have found out that he will be watching over you for thousands of years until this. Well, whatever is going to happen where the gods will save humanity and also this cosmos cycle. Flora beamed. You call that uncomplicated? Hunter watched Corey wrap his hand around Panuleon and intertwined their fingers. He wondered how many same-sex couples there are, spread across the 4 worlds. Corey wiped the light brown hair from his eyes and looked up to his angel. The mind portal is starting to close. He whispered, Okay, we must leave. Thank you for listening, and we will be back when you need us. I hope this information can settle with ease. It was a pleasure to meet you, 𝐸𝐿, Hunter, Flora, and Alfred. He knew my name. Alfred beamed. Yeah. Thank you for clearing the confusion. Jacob didn't know what he was saying. The angel appeared in even more confusion, but at least he had answers for Alicia's vessel. Of course. Goodbye for now. Everyone watched the creamy glow appear once more, forcing them to shield their gaze and to feel the warm heat from the supernatural glow. When it started to fade, they opened their eyes, now seeing no angel and no short human in sight. I think, Hunter breathed. I need to be outside. Yeah, Jacob agreed. Boys, Flora stopped them as they approached the door. I hope you know how special you both are to be in the presence of an angel. That man and his mate have been through many things together. He is assigned to the leader of the gods because he is a remarkable being. I felt that too. Jacob nodded. Good. Now go and let it sink in. Hunter stared up at the clouds. They were moving slowly, clearing up the storm that had comforted 𝐸𝐿. Now when he looked at the sky, he pictured heaven and what it would look like. 𝐸𝐿. His mate peered over, still getting used to being called that by Hunter. Do you think the angels' God exist? You know, the ones the humans believe in. Jacob pulled at the grass and twiddled the blades in between his fingers. I'm not sure. He mumbled quietly. We should ask Panuleon when he visits next. Hunter chuckled and rested his injury-free arm behind his head. I don't know how to pronounce his name either. How long do you think he was watching over us for? Well, he said he only found out about our world a few weeks ago. I bet it was during the lunar cycle. Jacob lifted his palm and allowed his power to form a small ball of electricity bolts in his hand. He found it rather therapeutic to watch them. I want to meet the other gods. Me too. But by the sounds of it, we won't get to meet them until we're like 25 or something. The angel said it would be around 7,000 years. Does that mean 1,000 years is equivalent to 1 year? I think so. It seems like too long. I thought that. But it probably won't be if we're together. Jacob looked over to see his gray eyes submerged within the yellow glow of his power. That was a little cheesy. Hunter smirked and shuffled closer, but his gaze found concentration somewhere else. Jacob followed it to see William launching sticks for Sam's wolf form. I feel for Sam. The werewolf sighed. Not because of his parents, but because he is falling for someone who doesn't love him back. Jacob sat up and watched from across the big field. I can't tell where William's attraction goes. It's not like yours and Sam's, which goes directly to males. It's all over the place like 𝐻𝐻. Hunter cocked his head to the side with a thoughtful expression. Do you think 𝐻𝐻 bisexual? Jacob nodded. I don't want to ask about it because it's not a big deal at all. Still though, Sam needs to snap out of it. Can't other wolves find their mates at any point during their lifetime? Jacob questioned. Yep, so even if William was his mate, he might not find out for years. After saving you, I think that makes Sam worthy of a mate. Me too. But maybe it has something to do with this thing when we're older. Jacob nodded. His eyes watched his older brother laughing and having a good time, feeling happy that he was happy. His mother might not like it, but periods of time will go on without her. If anything, they are free now. I just hope life doesn't wait too long to give him one. Hunter looked up to the clouds once more, now seeing the sapphire-colored sky. I'm sure lunar love won't leave him lonely, not after witnessing his loyalty. Chapter 82. Lightning brightly flashed, sending beautiful crackles of yellow through the night sky. Jacob knew he needed to stop summoning so many storms, but he couldn't help it. He felt overwhelmed, and it was comforting him. Shifting himself into a more comfortable position, he allowed his legs to hang out of the window. The cold air was refreshing. His mind was too alive to sleep. How could he sleep now that he knows there are other worlds? He met an angel less than 10 hours ago. Everything was so surreal and exciting. He has gotten used to werewolves, but this would take a while. He felt like his stability was on wire. He was slowly walking across it, trying not to lose his balance, but occasionally something he could not control would knock him, wobbling him. At the moment, he was almost at the end of the wire, but something was holding him back. He wasn't sure what it was, yet he knew not to look for it. He would get there eventually. When the hairs on his back pricked, he felt the heat radiating from another body. Turning around, he was level with Hunter's face. His eyes were half shut and his hair was messy. "What are you?" he mumbled with a yawn. "It's 3 in the morning. I can't sleep." The dark room brightened up with another flash of lightning. Hunter decided to sit next to him on the windowsill. He was nearly fully healed. The only part of him that still hurt was his nose. Although, it was nothing he couldn't handle. "Have you slept at all?" Jacob shook his head. "I keep thinking about this thing that will happen in the future. We have a ridiculous amount of time to worry about that." Hunter rubbed his eyes and stretched his back. "I would like to tell you not to worry about it, but I know you'll do the exact opposite." "I can't help it," Jacob mumbled. He was feeling wide awake when a loud rumble of thunder echoed through the air. Hunter got a small fright. Now he was feeling more awake too. "Tomorrow, do you want to go into the town and do weird human stuff?" Jacob turned to him with a funny frown. "I mean, go for some lunch or something." Hunter's eyes lit up like he had an idea. "We can go on a date." "That's weird human stuff to you?" "Yeah. We never just go wandering around town or go out to eat. I get that they are social events, but we like to go running or hunt things together." Jacob was starting to see the differences between humans and werewolves, now that his life was changing too. I would like to go on a date." He mumbled quietly and gently swung his legs, distracting himself from blushing. But when another flash of lightning appeared, it was impossible for Hunter's eyes to miss it. "You're really sweet," he admitted with a goofy grin. "If I got another mate who was dominant like me, we would clash all the time." They were perfect for each other. A werewolf would never be paired with the wrong mate. They are meant to be. As corny as that sounded, it was true. "That's why you got me," Jacob chirped with a little smile. He had subconsciously taken Hunter's hand and started fidgeting with his fingers. Hunter's soft expression studied his face until he leaned forwards and placed his lips on his. Connecting like this was the best way to instantly feel close. "You know," Hunter whispered, allowing Jacob to feel his breath against his mouth. "I'm almost healed now." Jacob gently bit his lower lip, knowing exactly what Hunter wanted, and he was feeling the affection too. He lifted his hand and brushed a finger along the 2 white strips, still helping Hunter's nose to heal. He tensed a little, feeling the pain. "I did say almost healed." They kissed once more, under the watchful eye of the glowing moon and the twinkling stars. It was a silent and tranquil night with not a single ounce of disturbance. While Hunter started to feel more awake, so did his kisses. Jacob followed his lead and felt emotions pour into every movement. Hunter's warm hand made its way up and gently brushed the side of his face, feeling that extra spark from his contact. While the kissing grew deeper, Hunter swung his leg back into the room and tugged on Jacob's shirt. The werewolf only had a pair of shorts on as a tiny draft stroked his heated stomach. Jacob climbed back over without disconnected. Their lips and their bodies were instantly pushed together. Their arms wrapped around each other, keeping their chests joined. The moment was quickly approaching into a love-filled activity, shared between the two males. Hunter slowly pulled him over to the bed when the kissing deepened once more. Jacob was forgetting that it was 3 in the morning and that they needed sleep. He was forgetting about how the window was open and he was fond of insects entering at night. The storm had cleared and the bedroom was only filled with the beautiful natural light of the moon, leaving a gray, mystic, and spiritual darkness to bounce off every corner. When they reached the bed, Hunter lightly pushed his mate onto his back, making him fall against the duvet. He immediately climbed on top of him, sliding his hand under his shirt in the process. Jacob's pupils instantly dilated, and he wanted to feel their lips together once more. "How far are you willing to take this?" Hunter whispered and traced his lips along his jaw and down onto his neck, feeling the slight pulse of his heart. "It's okay if you're not ready, but I want to know my limit." He kissed deeply against his skin. Jacob grabbed his hair and tugged on it, sending a wave of passion through Hunter's body. He knew where he liked to be kissed and took advantage of his soft spot. Hunter's hand roamed until Jacob's shirt was lifted past his chest. His skin was so smooth and every bump felt like utter perfection. When Jacob noticed that his heart was steady, his mind was jumping with judgments about what Hunter thought of him. If he was kissing right, or if his appearance was good enough. That's when he realized how comfortable he felt. "I'm ready," he whispered when Hunter lightly nibbled on his skin. "Of course." He stopped and moved his head so it was level with his. His eyes traced his face until they reached his lust-filled eyes. "You're ready," he breathed, barely able to contain his affection. Jacob nodded with a cute smile that only drove him crazier. "Are you sure?" "Yes." Hunter lifted his head and really studied his expression. "Are you sure you're sure? Because this is a big thing and just shut up and kiss me." Jacob pushed down on the back of his head, connecting their lips once again. Hunter gratefully kissed back. However, his mind was now filled with pure excitement. "Well, take it slow," he mumbled in between kisses. "If it's too much, we can stop at any time. I promise." Jacob knew if he freaked out, Hunter wouldn't be offended, upset or mad. He would completely understand, and that is one thing he loves about him. He is the most caring and considerate person he has ever known. "I'll be gentle with you." He purred and pulled off his shirt with one swift movement. Jacob was nervous, yet eager. Connecting with Hunter on a personal level needs to be done. He had to know what it felt like to lose himself to the pleasure of his mate. He had to know what it felt like to forget everything, only leaving behind the sensation of raw love. He was ready to let himself go and indulge his innocent body into the spicy sauces of Hunter's desires. It was a feeling he has experienced before as Hunter traced the waistband of his pajama bottoms. "Do I have permission?" he thought, just making sure. Even though Jacob said he was ready, he didn't want to dive right into the task and scare him off. Yet Jacob was completely in the mood and found his correct mindset. Without opening his eyes or disconnecting their hungry mouths, he pulled Hunter's shorts off, leaving him naked as he hovered above him. The werewolf was in so much love. He decided to do the same and pulled Jacob's pajama bottoms off, leaving him naked as he lay against the duvet. He then rested his weight on top of him, feeling the outline of his exposed body as the affection circled and throbbed in delicate areas. A quiet moan escaped Jacob's lips and Hunter realized just how ready he was. Therefore, he was able to relax his own mind, knowing there was nothing to worry about. Jacob wanted it just as much as him. He dared to stick his tongue into his mouth, and Jacob's feelings surprised him. Odd or uncomfortable, he found himself inviting it in, wanting to let it explore his mouth as they touched each other's tongues, figuring out the dominance. Of course, Hunter won while his hands slowly started lowering past his waist. This was definitely new territory. For a moment, Jacob found himself concentrating more on his touch until Hunter couldn't stop himself from skimming his reserved area with his fingertips. Another delicate moan escaped Jacob's mouth, and Hunter's affection exploded. He wanted to hear that all night long. So he pulled his mate's legs apart and round his waist while his kisses lowered past his neck, past his collarbone, past his chest and down onto his ABS. Kissing the defined lines, he continued to lower his lips until Jacob's legs tightened around him. He had to bite hard on his bottom lip to contain his growl of desire. As Hunter's hand stroked Jacob's member, he was building the affection, getting ready to officially mark him as his. Jacob gripped big handfuls of the duvet when Hunter's tongue touched him. He was approaching ecstasy. He felt high, almost drunk off love. "Are you okay? Remember, we can stop at any time," Hunter thought. Of course. He didn't want to stop, but he would if his mate was comfortable. "Keep going," Jacob breathed. He didn't know it would feel so amazing. It was sending ripples of pleasure through them both, and he just wanted to stay in the moment forever. "I love you, I love you." Hunter grinned and licked past his belly button, right up to his chest. "Say it again." Jacob's arms wrapped around his neck when he started to kiss deeply over his collarbone. "I love you." Hunter's hands were free to roam wherever he pleased. Jacob was giving him full consent to do what he wanted, as long as the pleasure continued. When their lips connected, they kissed with all the passion they could give, sharing saliva, exchanging tongues and connecting their souls. "Turn over." Hunter's hot breath tickled Jacob's chin, and he did as he said. The werewolf wrapped his arms around Jacob's waist, pulling him onto his knees. "You're definitely sure you want this?" he kept having to ask, trying to convince himself that this was happening. He thought it would take Jacob a couple of months to be ready. He has come such a long way, and he is proud of him. To show his pride, he will make this night one he will never forget. "I'm ready," Jacob breathed as he clung onto the duvet and allowed the feelings to flow freely. "I trust you." That was all Hunter needed to hear before he continued. The night was so still and calm as the boys completed their affection, stripping down any walls Jacob was holding up before. They were both feeling exposed, but it felt nice to have such a strong faith in each other. Hunter knew after he marked his mate, no werewolf would even dare to look at him the same again. He would stink of his scent, but that's what he has wanted. That's what he has always wanted, to mark him, claim him, and take gentle care of him as he takes away his innocent young mind, replacing him with a man. When the dawn approaches, Hunter 𝐸𝐻𝐻 will be successful in his statement he has made many times. 𝐾𝐞𝐬𝐻𝐿 will officially be his. In this moment, the god had found the end of his wire. Nothing was wobbling him or stopping him from taking the last step. He has learned what he needed to do to find himself, and he has never felt more at peace with his own mind. Until tonight. Chapter 83. When the dawn approached, Hunter and Jacob were sleeping proudly side by side. The duvet covered their lower half and exposed their bare chest. The sun peeked through the open window, filling the room up with light and warmth. Memories of last night would linger in the atmosphere for a while, especially when it was sighting the way made love to one another. When Jacob woke up, the one thing he strongly smelt was Hunter. His addicting scent filled his nose, making him turn over and bury his head into his warm shoulder. It was bliss and comfort mixed into one. "Good morning." Hunter's husky voice fluctuated his breathing. "I didn't think you were awake," Jacob whispered. Thoughts of what they shared at 3 in the morning were vibrant in his mind. He was finding it difficult to believe that he was comfortable enough to go through it. Not one moment made him worry. Hunter was very patient, slow, and considerate. "I only just woke up." Hunter's eyes were closed and he was still drifting from a very sleepy state when he felt Jacob's body move against his. They flickered open and a wide smile spread across his face. "Wow, I really did mark you last night." Jacob looked down, his eyebrows raising immediately. Hunter had left love bites all over his skin, ranging from past his hip bone, all the way up to his neck. They were everywhere as he traced his fingers over the little bruise, like circles. "How long do they stay for?" "A couple of days, I think." Hunter yawned. "What?" "I can't hide them for that long." I don't think you can hide them at all. Hunter chuckled. There's 2 on your neck that will show even with a T-shirt on. There's nothing to worry about, though. It just shows how much I love you. Jacob turned and stared at the ceiling. It's just, I don't want to talk about it with anyone else. Hunter allowed his fingers to trace lightly over his chest muscles. Tell them that. You can say no to people. I think my dad might want to talk about it. That's fine. My parents have talked to me about it several times. We're quite open about stuff like this. I know your family isn't, but it's not weird for him to ask. He'll just be making sure everything is fine. It might be good for you. You'll get more comfortable with it. Jacob nodded. He had a point. He is the one that's awkward about it. Not everyone else. Anyway, Hunter yawned once more before climbing out of bed. Come on. It's shower time. Jacob didn't flinch at his naked body. Not like he did the first time he saw it. Instead, he simply climbed out of bed and followed him to the bathroom, ready for some warm water. Sam and William, will you stop doing that? I've cleaned up after you twice now. Anthony shook his amused head before picking up more cereal. They had spent the morning throwing it at each other across the room, trying to catch it in their mouths. Fine. Sam groaned and spun himself on the kitchen stool, thinking of something else they could do. Will. Can you throw sticks for me again? It's sunny and I want to be outside before Jacob's storm comes. Sure. William grinned. He loved to see him shift into his magnificent black wolf. As Sam jumped off the stool, Hunter and Jacob made an appearance in the kitchen. The werewolves in the room stopped and stared, only able to smell Hunter's scent. Jacob's was not detectable to them anymore, indicating that he had been successfully marked. Margot smiled and faced away, not wanting him to see. Anthony crossed his arms and examined the little bruises on Jacob's neck with a smirk. Fun night last night? He questioned, just as Scott entered the kitchen with damp hair from his recent shower. Obviously, Hunter mumbled, already seeing the red appearing on Jacob's cheeks. When he looked away, he frowned at his dad, warning him to stop talking. Anthony grinned wider and gave up, knowing he would get the chance to ask about it later. However, Scott's eyes performed a double glance at the markings on his son's neck. He was surprised, but he didn't mention anything. Embarrassing him was not his intentions. William didn't notice and pulled on Sam's shoulder, instantly grabbing his attention. Are you ready? Sam looked down and into his creamy hazel eyes. Yeah. He beamed, resisting the urge to fling his arms around him. I wish you could turn into a wolf. Me too. William sighed and entered the garden. So Flora was sitting at the dining table while her husband made himself busy in the garden. You've marked him. Hunter sighed. He could always count on his Nana to be very straightforward. Marked him. Scott frowned, not understanding what it meant. Jacob now wished that he didn't like being kissed on the neck so much. Your son is no longer the innocent young man you see before you. Flora was very happy for them. Scott then understood. It was like a ripple of realization that changed on his face. Making eye contact with his son, he could see that he was embarrassed, yet proud of himself for making this relationship work. I'm very pleased for you both. But get some breakfast. You must be hungry after that strenuous exercise. Anthony was grinning wide. Hunter groaned when Jacob considered going back to bed. He couldn't cope with the constant blush. Dad, please don't start making jokes. He spoke when Sam and William Ray entered the kitchen. It had started to rain. We had sex last night for anyone who didn't quite understand that. I marked him. He now smells of me and only me. So will you just get over it and stop making him feel awkward? Anthony stalled, not expecting such a mature reply. Sorry, Jacob. It's just my humor. Anthony shrugged after receiving intense stares from his wife. Is that how it works? Scott asked. Once HES marked. Werewolves smell only Hunter on him. Is it a territorial thing? It is indeed. Flora said and patted the seat next to him so they could have a hushed discussion. William was watching his brother until Jacob flashed him a little smile. indicating to him that everything is fine and he didn't have to be an overprotective big brother. "Can we go into town now, please?" Jacob thought to his mate. "Okay. Are we teleporting there?" "Yes." Hunter wrapped his arms around him, but before they left, he thought he would give them something to talk about. "Oh, by the way, we met an angel yesterday and 𝐻𝐸𝐳 as guardian angel. Also, Flora told us everything." Anthony interrupted, saving him from explaining it all. "Nana?" He winced. "You can't expect me to keep something like that down, my dear. We saw the angel too. He was beautiful, and so was his soulmate." "Wait, what?" "I want to see an angel," Sam said with big eyes. Flora then patted the seat on her other side. "Come over. It'll tell you everything. It doesn't feel right." Jacob was sitting at a table in a restaurant, surrounded by humans who were also having their lunch. Hunter was sitting opposite him, feeling strange in this environment too. "Is it different now that you're not human?" "Yes, I just really don't fit in here." People kept glancing at him, wondering why he looked so mighty and powerful. He was just a teenage boy. It felt odd to be surrounded by people who he once thought were the same as him. Yet, his life is completely different now and he has changed for the better. "Do you want to go for a run?" Hunter asked, his eyes glistening from the subtle candlelight on the table. Jacob's lips curled into a smile, and a simple nod of the head was enough confirmation for the werewolf. He flagged down a waiter, paid the bill, and left. People stared as they walked hand in hand through the tables, but both of them were past caring. Nobody is going to make them feel uncomfortable for being themselves, especially when they won't be on this earth in 100 years' time, and they will still be in their teens. "My wolf form is desperate to come out today," Hunter thought when they smelt the fresh air. "You know, 𝐶 gets out of hospital today." Jacob glanced at him before they crossed a road. "Are you going to see him?" "No, he means nothing to me. I can't be bothered threatening him. I'm sure if he tried anything, you could just glare at him and he'd start crying." Jacob chuckled while intertwining their fingers. "Let's hope he doesn't try anything then." When they reached an alleyway, Jacob looked around before they wrapped their arms around each other. "You know, people kept staring at the hickeys on your neck. I wonder if they thought I did them." Hunter traced them with a satisfied smile. Thoughts of last night still caused quite an excited stir between them. They felt deeply connected on a much more personal level. Jacob has never let anyone other than his family be this close and intimate in his life. He was glad he could be this way with Hunter. He deserves someone who loves him just the way he is. "Judging by the way you constantly unrest me with your eyes, they definitely knew it was you." Jacob spoke quietly. "Take us home and I'll undress you with my hands instead." Jacob blushed and diverted his eyes. "You, is so cute." Hunter chuckled. "I'm just trying to make you embarrassed so you change into your pup from on our run." After running for almost half an hour, Jacob had changed from his pup wolf to a regular wolf, one that portrayed the same size as his mate. As they traveled over rough terrain and jumped over fallen trees, they reached a clearing in the woods, and Hunter instantly slowed down, knowing that civilization would be close by. Jacob's sharp eyes scanned a road and a little bridge, hovering above a wide lake with slow-moving currents. It was beautiful, but a sudden pained memory invaded Hunter's head. His wolf let out a little whimper and he backed away. "What's wrong?" Jacob stopped when he read his mind and felt his misery. He quickly realized that this wasn't any random lake. It was far from unfamiliar to Hunter. It was where he lost his grandparents and Jacob lost his grandfather. I haven't been here since the accident." Even in Jacob's mind, his voice was quiet and frail. "Maybe it'll do you good to revisit," Jacob suggested warily. "I mean, you can find peace here if you tried." "How am I supposed to find peace? The accident ruined me. I lost my granddad here too. I know it's not the same. I didn't watch it happen, but for me personally, I'm going to pay my respects." Jacob looked around and smelt nobody before allowing his soft pads to touch the warm concrete road. Hunter watched him trot down the bridge and jump onto a patch of grass. Even after all these years, he could see the change in color on the railing where they had to rebuild it because the car broke through it. sending them straight into the water. After intense hesitation, he took a breath and followed his mate. The air was crisp, but the sun was warm, allowing him to see his breath. I wish Dad was here, Jacob thought. He visited a lot after it happened. So did my dad. Gloom masked Hunter's voice. So many unwanted memories were taking over. He knew exactly where he sat and cried for his grandparents. He was kneeling on the grass. His fingers were gripping the water as he tried to pluck up the courage to jump after them. Even though he was young, he still understood that after 5 minutes, they had drowned and there was nothing he could do. He watched Jacob's wolf gently lick the water until he turned into a little puppy. He sat down with his tail curled up around his left foot. Hunter sat behind him and watched the gentle current. Jacob felt his warmth above him and snuggled against his fur. They'll be really proud of you, he thought. One day, I want to be as courageous as my granddad. Then hopefully he'll be proud of me. Hunter's eyes traced a bird as it skimmed the horizon. 𝐻's proud of you already. And I think. He paused and Jacob was trying not to invade on his thoughts. He wanted to hear it from him instead of snooping. I think it's time for me to move on. Something inside of him was starting to settle. He didn't know how or why he was feeling more relaxed. He thought that being in such a traumatic area would make him feel horrible. Yet it wasn't. But what Jacob said was eating away at him. Paying their respects was finding his peace, and it surprised him. They'd be upset, knowing how hard it's affecting me. Jacob felt his wet nose skim the top of his head before he gently licked his ear. Granddad told me that death is only sad if you think about the life they're missing out on, instead of cherishing the life they had. I know that we can't see them or be with them, but they will always be with us. And now that I know angels exist, I know he was telling the truth. They'll be with us in spirit. Your granddad sounds wise. He was. Jacob didn't want to think about what it would have been like for him to take his last breath on this very spot. I miss him. Looking around. The area really was incredibly pleasing. With the clear sky and the orange glow of the setting sun, it made the hills look dark and mysterious as they turned into distant outlines on the horizon. So much open space gave Hunter a lot of freedom to think. The grass was vibrant in color and generous in length. It felt soft against his paws and cool against his pads. His purple ear suddenly twitched when he heard quiet footsteps. We need to leave, he thought desperately, but Jacob was in his pup form and cowled and run very fast. Hunter gently bit down on the scruff of his neck, kicking him up like a parent would with their cub, and started running. It didn't hurt Jacob, but it felt odd. He couldn't move. They made it back into the trees just in time. Although he kept running to make sure they were not spotted. I'm glad we ended up there. He breathed and jumped over a tree trunk. It helped more than I thought it would. After such a long time, it's only right that you confront what is scaring you. I think I needed a bit of wisdom in my life. Hunter stopped and put him down. Well, I think I needed to hear it from someone other than my family. Jacob then shifted into a wolf that matched Hunter's size. He licked his face with substantial meaning and tilted his head, making his ears flop to the side. I'll race you home. Feeling a lot happier. Hunter started panting lightly, creating the illusion that he was smiling. It's not a race if you know you're going to lose. He shot past him and started to gallop through the trees. Jacob reacted quickly, chasing him and watching the beautiful purple swirls mingle within his enchanting white fur. Chapter 84. When the boys returned to their beautiful house, Hunter felt blessed and proud of the life he has. For a while, he thought that luck was never deserved when he received it. How could he accept it when two people died and was responsible? Yet, today felt like a new beginning. He could see what he rightfully earned, and that was all the happiness in the world. It has been horrendous for Anthony to watch his son struggle as much as he had. Losing his parents was very difficult, but he was there and it was eating away at Hunter, constantly thinking about what would have changed if he could swim. Now that he has let it go, he felt free from his guilt. I won. Jacob stopped in the garden and panted hard when William hurried over. Can I throw sticks for you or something? I'm so bored. Jacob changed into his human form and stood up. Although William was quickly distracted by the many love bites all over his body. And of course, Jacob instantly felt incredibly judged and embarrassed. His cheeks burned red when he really wanted the ground to swallow him up. Hunter laid on the floor, too tired to care. William quickly pulled off his hoodie and allowed his younger brother to have some form of dignity. Jacob put it on at lightning speed. He would surely pass out from embarrassment if anyone else saw. "Don't worry." William chuckled and shook his head when the hoodie was a little tight on him. "I'm not judging. Whatever you get up to is none of my business. Unless you're not happy about it. It's fine." Jacob spoke quickly. "I'm fine. Yeah. It's all fine." William laughed and patted his shoulder. "Your speech is flawless." Jacob crossed his arms while Hunter watched a flower pot full of small tulips. They were dying until Jacob approached them. Then, all of a sudden, they were filled with life and stood up tall. The werewolf eyed his mate with awe. He is magnificent and truly very special. He was starting to see things in a clearer light whenever they were together. "So, are you too tired to play in your wolf form?" "Yeah," Jacob breathed, only just getting his breath back. "Hunter will play with you though." "What?" "No, I'm barely alive right now." They both looked at his wolf, lying hopelessly on the grass. His tongue hung out of his mouth while he panted like a dehydrated dog. "It doesn't matter. I'm just bored and I'll think of something else to do." "Play with Sam," Jacob suggested. "He has gone home to collect more stuff." Anthony went with him. Hunter lifted his head, hoping that his parents won't cause too much trouble. Sam didn't need to cope with the stress. "Where's Nana?" Hunter questioned. "In the kitchen. I can see her." William frowned and flashed him an unusual stare. "What?" "I was replying to Hunter." Jacob smiled shyly and sat down next to his werewolf. William's eyes traced his hands with an amused twinkle. "I'm just glad you're not actually crazy and there was an explanation for the voice in your head." Hunter's wolf whined lightly before nudging Jacob with his nose. "Wanting attention. I don't know what you're emoing at." "It was your fault." William grinned. "If I knew I befriended the person who was talking to my little brother, I probably would have beat you up. But failed because you're a werewolf and you probably would have killed me." William then frowned like he was thinking hard about something. "I might see my college friends. The project is due next week." Hunter changed into his human form and stared at his friend with slight annoyance. "It's like having another Sam around. Don't you both know that it's good to take breaths in between sentences? And changing the subject halfway through speaking will always confuse me. Boys, would anyone like to help with the gardening?" Alfred asked, who was standing next to a rose bush, almost out of sight. There was an instant wave of awkward silence until Hunter turned back into his wolf and jumped over the garden fence. The brothers watched him jog across the field until William started edging away. I'm meeting up with my friends." William quickly turned and climbed onto the field so he could escape. Jacob watched Hunter's granddad, knowing it would be exceptionally rude to run like his mate, but he really wanted to. "Have fun." Hunter smirked in his head. "Shut up." Jacob's eyes examined the dying flowers that clearly couldn't handle all his storms. Lifting a hand, he knew he was more in tune with nature and he could feel the life in his fingertips. It may not be enough to heal a human, but it was enough to revive some beautiful flowers. Alfred watched with glistening eyes as the roses next to him breathed in the fresh air and bled with their rich color. "Wow, thank you, young Jacob. I guess Hunter didn't have to make a break for freedom after all." He laughed with a shaking head. "Anyway, my boy, no work needs to be done now. I don't want to keep you from your godly duties." Jacob pursed his lips with kind eyes before walking into the house. Apart from staying in harmony with the sky, but that was coming naturally. He knows in time. He will be faced with tasks and missions, but for now, all he needed to do was adapt, and that was easy enough. "Where are you going?" he questioned Hunter. "I'm just gonna stalk 𝐶's family for a bit to make sure they are not planning anything." "Okay." Jacob was motioned over by his dad, who had not long been home from work. He was worried about Hunter. He is very capable of looking after himself. "Hey son, "How was your day?" He beamed after giving him a hug. "Good." Jacob eyed his food, feeling rather hungry. "There's some in the oven for you. I just heated up." Scott watched him walk around the kitchen island so he could help himself. He sighed happily and studied how some of his introverted qualities have expanded out and into the world. He never used to do anything at other people's houses because he felt too awkward. Now he was calm, anxiety-free, and completely himself. Scott wasn't sure when he last saw him this way. However, he had also noticed changes in William now that their mother was out of the perfect family picture. He seemed to be a lot more carefree and relaxed. He wasn't asking for permission to do things because he had no mother who constantly breathed down his neck, wanting to know where he was, when he was going out, when he was coming home and who was going out with. Scott cared, but not to the point where he suffocated his children with constant worry. They are turning into young adults and they had to express themselves without his influence sometimes. So he stalled and examined the bruises on his neck. "I know that you most definitely do not want to talk about it, but last night, did you feel ready?" Jacob's skin shivered with awkwardness. Nodding slowly, his dad smiled. "There's only so many times that I can say I'm proud of you, but you know that I am. So is your granddad." His son stopped chewing with surprise. "How did you know?" "You always look at me in a certain way when you've been thinking about him." Scott patted his shoulder. "I miss him now more than ever. He was so excited to see the day when you turned into 𝐏𝐿𝐴. But I know 𝐻ES watching over this family. He promised me he always would." Jacob cowled and imagined losing his dad, but when he lost his grandfather so suddenly, he stopped taking lives for granted every moment. "𝐻ES proud of you too." Jacob put his arms around his shoulders and they hugged tightly. "For being a great dad." Scott hugged a little tighter, trying to keep back his emotion. His father always told him that his children are precious and the parental support they receive will one day mean the world to them. He couldn't imagine doing what Grace did, simply abandoning her own flesh and blood. "I love you and will so much." Jacob heard his emotion. "We love you too." When they pulled away, Sam was stood in the doorway with a distant stare. He had a moment of jealousy, wishing he could have such an understanding parent. "Hold on." He forced himself to bounce back into reality. "You're having a family hug without me." Scott chuckled as he hurried over and pulled them both back into another tight embrace. "How did it go?" he questioned. As expected." Sam pulled away and Jacob felt a sudden wave of anger emitting from the beta wolf. "My parents are idiots. They burnt all my stuff so 𝐿𝐻𝐿 kicked them out of the city. He gave them half an hour to pack essentials before setting their house on fire in front of them. That man is literally my hero. Karma is not a nice thing to receive." 𝐿𝐻𝐿 entered the kitchen, feeling satisfied that he gave Sam's parents a taste of their own medicine. "Although, I feel like there has been a lot of houses on fire recently. You've been the cause of most of them." Sam chuckled. "True." 𝐿𝐻𝐿's eyes instantly glistened entered the kitchen. She looked so radiant and so beautiful. Margot smiled when she saw his goofy stare. "Have you ever seen a woman more beautiful?" He walked over and wrapped his arms around her. Scott remembered when he used to look at Grace like that. Sam then felt the jealousy hit him once again. "Ugh, where's my mate?" He mumbled and subconsciously picked up some chips from Jacob's plate. "Your time will come." "Sam, don't you worry." 𝐿𝐻𝐿 hummed and kissed his wife on the top of her head. "I hope so." The beta wolf tried not to think about William. It was just his luck that he fell for someone who most likely won't be his mate. It was 3:30 in the morning when William eventually made it back to the 𝐿𝐻𝐿's household very drunk. He had told his dad that he would be out late because he was having drinks with his friends. Scott knew that meant he would be getting drunk, so he waited up for him, wanting to make sure he got home safe. "Let me help you upstairs." He chuckled when William tripped over the first step. "No," he slurred and slowly started to crawl his way up. "I can do it myself." Scott watched with amusement before turning towards the kitchen to get him some water before going to bed. Drunk William stumbled down the corridor, almost knocking an abstract painting off the wall. Laughing to himself, he turned a corner and his vision started to blur. His eyes caught sight of his bedroom door, but he stopped and rubbed them, feeling the lack of sleep as it washed over him. After falling into the wall, he took a sharp breath of encouragement to force his unbalanced legs straight into Sam's room.